Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Player X here with the Semi Limited Podcast, back for another weekly installment of the best TCG podcast this side of the Mississippi. I'll tell you that. Just want to thank everyone for listening and returning back for yet another episode. Last year we were the top podcast for 40 of you guys, plus, 40 plus viewers. You got to add that plus on there. And we can't thank you enough. So here's for the many things we have left planned for the rest of 2024 and all the good times we're going to have in the future, especially for all you new listeners catching in. Just maybe this is your first episode. You heard it from a friend, maybe referred to by another Yu-Gi-Oh player. But this is the time to get into it. Included in today's episode, we were going to be going over a brief discussion of some of the newer products being announced and released to us from Konami, whether it be the TCG or the OCG. Some of the changes in tournament information that you may want to know, as well as some of the expecting ban list cards, maybe potentially, as we speak of new cards that are being introduced to us in the TCG. But before all that, and we go into depth into all these topics, let's go over our plugs. Please go to the Linktree link in the description box below to follow all of our social sites. You'll click that link, it'll bring up a tab with all of our sites. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's the Instagram that you like rocking out with, maybe you're a Facebook guy, whatever it is. Be sure to click it and follow and subscribe and hit the notification bell or whatever it is, but be sure to be following some sort of social media for us. We usually like to do giveaways when we hit a certain amount of followers or certain accolades and goals. We actually just did one for Discord for hitting 100 Discord members, and now we have the next one coming when we hit 50 on TikTok, 100 on Twitter and X, 200 on IG and YouTube, and I think 200 on Discord as well. And I think we're at 125 right there, or something like that, something around there. So be sure to be a part of that by joining all of those sites. Shout outs to Unplugged Gaming in Mainland New York for sponsoring the podcast. You can be sure to join their Discord server as well. Speaking of Discord, in the description box below to be a part of their TCG communities, whether it be some of the Magic of the card game, maybe Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, the big three. But fuck it, it's just Big Me for all of you hip hop fans out there. It's just Yu-Gi-Oh. But be sure to go out there, interact with all of them. Maybe there's some new tech cards you didn't know about. Maybe there's a card or you're looking for, you want to trade for that you can maybe message someone, get last second, and then meet up in store to get that basically going down. They usually have tournaments going on sporadically throughout the week, honestly, if I'm being serious with everyone. But you can be sure to go down there, and if you do stop in store, just be sure to tell them that the boys over at Semi Limited sent you. All right, be sure to mention that as well. Also, be sure to catch Brad, aka Mr. Perfect, streaming live on Twitch every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. His Twitch will also be in our Linktree link. You can go down there and click it. It'll bring up Semi Perfect Gaming with underscores and I think 2 R's or 3 R's. I can't really remember. But he streams every Saturday night, whether it be deck building, maybe some crafting, some theorying with some people. Maybe he's playtesting for a big event. I know some people got the regional over in Connecticut coming up soon. And a lot of the other YCSs that are going to be coming up as well. So be sure to interact with him and chit chat over there, because whatever happens on his stream, he'd be sure to bring over to me so we can talk about it in the Friday night wrap up. You might even find yourself on a podcast on an episode one day. You never quite know. But I don't want this to be a crazy long episode, so let's start getting into it, all right? So starting with today's episode, I want to talk about some of the products that Konami has announced for us for the OCG, starting with the complete file, the White Story. I don't know what kind of racist shit they're trying to throw over here, but the White Story, yeah, okay. They could have started with the Black Story first. Let's put them that way. But this is a special edition designed binder that comes with a few amenities included with it, such as a special booklet, some sleeves, and then 202 specific cards that will be inside of it. Out of those 202 cards, 177 will be ultra rare reprints, 20 will be QCR reprints, 4 of them will be QCR reprints of alternate arts, or with alternate arts, I should say, and then 1 QCR copy of the newly announced card, Dogmatic Calamity Alba System. This product will begin pre-selling, I should say, on April 13th, 2024 in the OCG territories, and the pre-sale is set to run until May 8th, 2024. And the price so far, as of day of recording, is about 29,700 yen, which if I ran into the converter, it's probably roughly about like $196, maybe 97. Definitely just under $200 USD for this product. But however, there are no TCG versions of this product have been announced as of yet, so we don't know if we're gonna get it over here in the States or in maybe South America or Europe. It's just a Japan thing right now, but that's just something that seems a little bit cool. Uh, that I think that they're not really doing too much of. I know other companies like that are third party companies, like Gem and all that, Gem accessories and all them. They make their own binders and stuff. But for Konami to have their own binder here, preset, ready to go with the actually really nice, I would say, like it looks like stained glass almost kind of finish onto it. It does look really, really nice. So, but speaking of new toys and such, mentioned in that article, we have the White Story new card, which is hopefully we're going to be seeing here soon in the TCG, known as Dogmatic Calamity Alba System. As mentioned before, this is a brand new card for the Fallen Albaz and Despia strategy, and it reads the following. It is a Dragon Fusion Effect Dark Monster, level 8, 4,500 attack, 2,500 defense. And it requires Fallen of Albaz specifically, and 6 monsters in your graveyard with different names. So you have to be fusioning it with monsters from your graveyard first off. First line of text says must be fusion summoned. Uh, this card can attack all monsters once each. Effect number 2 is you can send one card from your extra deck to the graveyard to declare an attack with this card. So even every time you send declare an attack, you have to send a card from your extra deck to the graveyard. And then once per turn, the third effect, if you control this fusion summon monster and you have 6 or more fusion monsters in your graveyard with different names that all mention Fallen of Albaz, you can send all cards in both players' extra decks to the graveyard. So this monster has 3 different effects. It's a 4,500 beat stick. Seems a little bit convoluted to kind of get into. It's an interesting card to say the very, very least. Now, I would say that I'm curious to see how it fits into the deck itself, because as of right now, the deck's player base is waiting eagerly to find out if they have to shift gears from a ban list or any other outside influences happening. But the deck is still solid in my opinion. Of course, with the potential ban list imminent here with us in the TCG, the Fallen players have started to suspect that maybe Sanctifier Dragon may very well be hit to some degree on the next upcoming list. And so it's kind of weird that they bring this up right before a ban list would be dropping to kind of like hint towards that. If that is the case, I can see why other players seem to be trying out new tech cards and other gimmicks, pun intended, such as Give and Take, which is like a normal trap card, which allows you to target a monster in your graveyard and special summon it to your opponent's graveyard. So it basically does the same thing as Sanctifier, and it's thrustables, which you already play things like Fusion Deployment and stuff like that. So you already have other thrust targets. It's not super out of the way, but it does seem a little on the inconsistent side. Although I really do understand the point of in-card design for Sanctifier Dragon, I really can't help but feel like it is like just too easily abusable in today's meta, especially with that deck. Regarding, regardless if it's bringing the gimmick puppet lock or maybe a Raw Disciple or even an Ido for some sort of lock, it doesn't matter. That wasn't what the intentional card was used for. It was made so that way it can bring out your Fallen of Albaz and give your opponent a monster that can be used as fusion material for that Fallen of Albaz. But now we're just out here just doing shit like giving people gimmick puppets and just watching them lock each other up and shit like that. So it's because of this that they might lose the card for their arsenal altogether, just because of how abusive it can really get. But it's not like the deck really needed it to begin with. Even without Sanctifier Dragon, the deck still has access to disruptors like Masquerade Dragon, Mirror Jade, even like what's that new one they're playing now? Preskinian, I think. Yeah, so they definitely have options to say the very least. Committing too much to the lock will also put your eggs in one basket for unnecessary reasons, as it makes you play into other cards harder, like BBDD Crow, Ghost Bell for sure, and even the Bystials, which is definitely being cited in today's meta to go against the low and maybe some of the Snake Eye players out there to get some of the dark targets out of there. But overall, I think some of the players will have some fun with the card, but I thought most of its play will probably be seen on pre-release as players probably maybe tinker with the applications before like inevitably leaving it out of the deck or probably playing it as maybe like a Tekken card like the Alba, the Abyss Dragon, like yeah, like that one, where like sometimes you'll see it in and out, but like for the most part, you just keep one copy on hand. Hey, I'm no Despia pilot, so by any means, this is just me shooting in the dark. So be sure to comment down below or correct me if you're hearing this and you're a Despia player and there's some sort of application for this card that you guys see that I'm not quite seeing because we'll just have to wait and find out because I'm not one of those guys. Also leaked to us last week, Konami will be reprinting the Realm of Light structure deck with another unlimited wave, as well as giving us another unlimited print of the core set Light of Destruction, which is set to release August 9th, 2024. This is interesting to me only because it means we're getting the Lightsworn reprints before the Legacy Sport hits to help duelists get their hands on the cards that they'll probably need for it, like the Judgment Dragons, the Punishment Dragons, and all that stuff like that. Ghost Rare Honest is going to be coming back. A bunch of the other things in there. But it also shows a little bit of love to the Edison players too, who need cards like Substitute, Access, and basically cards that are normally expensive just because they haven't seen printings since about when they came out, right? And since we'll be getting the Altis and Ghosts reprinted in that set, I'm very curious to see which of the foiling styles they're going to use for the rewave, like the old school look feel of like the Ultimate Rares, or the newer OTS style kind of Ultimate Rare foiling that we've been getting recently. Uh, because I feel like that really old school, nice deep foil for those nice ultimate rares would look way better than if they started doing the new like kind of slap on ultimate rare like rarity foiling for these rewaves. I think they're gonna really bring it back to those old printers and get that old feel to it if they're even gonna touch a set like this to begin with. Especially if you're gonna bring in, because you could just printed the set without having the ghost or the ultimates in there. You could just reprinted the set having just the cards in there and calling it a day. So if you're gonna go ahead and say you're gonna do it the same exact way, hey shit, it better be the same exact way for sure. But before moving on to one of our last topics, we at the Semi Limited Podcast would just like to take a quick second to congratulate Hughes's own Devon Tamaka Smith for taking it the long road down to success and going straight to Philadelphia last weekend, where he basically got top 64 to claim his invite for Nationals of this year. With over 580 players, Devon basically managed to play his way through 8 long rounds of Swiss and land himself in a position to be able to take home an invite with Fire King Snake Eyes of all things. So congrats, man. There was 64 invites given that event, and my man Devon got the 64th place. So he just squeaked it by the skin of his teeth, getting himself an invite and securing it, so that way he doesn't have to kind of sweat the rest of the season. So congrats, man. I'm glad you went out there and you basically killed it. So good job. And speaking of big tournaments, Konami has decided to drop one last piece of information on us before the WCQ season starts, at least for the latter end of the year. And it's one about the card that Konami has gave you that probably isn't in your deck. As many player knows, is holding, especially the old heads, that you have to sign up for any Konami sanctioned event with a card given to you, which has your Konami ID or what's also referred to as your Cossi ID. And this is usually normally printed on a Konami plastic card, maybe given to you in the mail, given to you in store. And you hold on to your person to sign up for events. You flash it. That has your Konami ID on there. They write your ID down, and then yada yada. You're good to go. Well, that may not be the case for very long. It looks like earlier today, Konami announced that they will officially be doing away with their Konami card IDs, and it will be sticking solely to the Konami ID number that appears on your Konami sanctioned Neuron app. So yeah, that's right. Starting after July 2024, duelists will only be able to register using the ID as displayed in their Neuron app. So you'll have to go on, literally pull up the app, show them that. They'll probably have to scan it right there, and that's how you'll have access to registering. And this may come off as a little weird, especially for the older heads who've just been so used to having that card. But it's actually a change I would have liked to see sooner. Konami has this really weird tendency to stay in the past when it comes to a bunch of their card games. Like Whereas Pokemon, their regionals are all on the app itself. Like there's no paper being hung up that everyone has to kind of flutter to and gather around and fight their way in and fight their way back out to go see who they're playing against. It's simple as going onto your app, you check it when the round's up, they let you know. You go right on the app, it checks and shows you who you're playing against, what seat you're on, and all the such and such and such, all the information you'll ever need. You go there, you sit down, you mark the game right there on the app. Okay, cool. I won. It was a 2-0. All right, cool. I lost. It was a 2-1. And then you send it in, and then that's it. Like it's all taken care of online and over the app. So to see Konami finally start to take a direction towards that, I'm definitely glad to see. But making it solely that you have to only have the Neuron app, that just seems like a little bit of a padded stat thing right there. Like you're just trying to get a bunch of your community to, or at least your player base, to go into this app just to kind of bring more traffic towards it, which I understand and shit like that. But shit, you don't have to make a whole official rule for that shit. Just tell people, hey, you can incentivize people to do this by maybe encouraging to use your Neuron app for an extra OTS pack, or maybe like an extra pack when you're going in to like a regional or something like that. But there's definitely ways you can go ahead and change it without having to do that. But I definitely think Konami has weird tendencies with it, but I'm definitely glad to see that it's heading towards the future with something, with integrating technology into it. So I'm glad to see that they're starting to follow suit, like with cards like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and all that stuff. Especially ones like One Piece. I think their system was pretty cool too. But like I said, guys, I just wanted it to be a little brief episode for you guys to kind of get into. Before we close up on out of here, because we're running out of life points, I just want to remind you guys about all the things that we were saying from the plugs earlier. Like I said, be sure to click that Linktree link, go to the description box, click it. It brings up a tab. You'll follow all of those sites there. Everything you see, you'll follow, click, share, buy merch, follow the pod, see all the distributors, whatever it is. Click it, like it, share it, tag a friend, send it to whoever, because they're always, everyone's gonna enjoy this podcast if they listen to Yu-Gi-Oh or play Yu-Gi-Oh, I should say. Well, on top of that, I want you guys to also go down there and show love to Unplug Gaming on the Discord server. It'll be tagged right in the description box below. You can be sure to click on that, join them around. Find a good card game that you like, whether it be Magic, Lorcana, TCGs, like Digimon, what is it, the One Piece that we were talking about. All of those you can be sure to catch down there. Find yourself a person that you like, want to communicate with, or maybe trade with her or whatever. You never quite know. And if you do wind up showing up in person, be sure to tell them that the boys over at Semi Limited Podcast sent you, and they'll be sure to hook you guys up. And last but not least, be sure to check out Brad streams every Saturday on Twitch, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 11 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States for those who are listening outside of the United States. And he is usually doing things like theory crafting. He's on Master Duel, EDO Pro, Dueling Book. He's with the local cats. He's with the guys around the world. I think he was with some guys from Egypt, if I'm not mistaken, last time. So shout out to the Egyptian guys out there checking into the Discord and having fun with the Twitch with Brad and all that stuff. So appreciate it. I'm flabbergasted and astonished that there's so many guys that are showing love to all of us. So don't let it think that it goes unappreciated, guys. So be sure to catch Brad once again, 11 p.m. every Saturday at Eastern Standard Time. With all that being said, guys, we are officially out of life points. We have a very, very special episode coming up on Friday for you guys. We are going to be recording it Thursday and having a special guest. We'll be revealing it a little bit later on this week. People who have been following us on Twitter are a little bit more aware of it, so you'll be sure to see who we have going on next. But without any further ado, we're going to be all out of here, guys. My name is Player X, and you have been listening to the Semi Limited Podcast. Thank you so very much, and good night.